Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Today we are looking at an Italian destroyer, and this is the Vittorio Cuniberti, the tier 8 in the tech tree. Now, why are we looking at tier 8? A couple of reasons. Tier 8 is where I would say things do start to get a little competitive. Tier 8 is a tier that you don't just skip over with free XP very easily, because it starts getting rather expensive. And as such, in a tech tree line, if the tier 8 is poor, then the top tiers better be really, really good in order to justify the grind, because otherwise, why would you do it? Because you'll be stuck on it for quite a while. So I'm always kind of keen to see what the tier 8 looks like in the tech tree line, and there are lines that have great tier 8s, like the German battleship line with the Bismarck. There are lines that have questionable tier 8s, like the Japanese battleship line with the Amagi, and even worse, the Izumo at tier 9. But it's worth going because of the eventual tier 10 that you reach. And we will investigate that on another day. But today we will be looking at the Vittorio Cuniberti, which didn't exist. Now, Wargaming claims here that this was a draft design to as an improvement of the Maestrale class of destroyers, which did exist, but the earlier classes only had 4 guns, so 2 twin turrets, whereas this thing has super firing forward turrets. Now, I haven't been able to find any kind of documentation anywhere on this design. It might be a relatively obscure design that they have dug out, but this thing most definitely didn't exist. Now, that said, in the game, she does. So how does she compare to the previous, to the tier 7? The Italian destroyers are a little different from the other destroyers. They're difficult to put into a category. Into a role. I would kind of be tempted to classify them almost as torpedo boats, but because of the long torpedo range and the abysmally short range main guns, they're not gunboats. They're certainly not scout cruisers. At the same time, they're relatively large and have a relatively poor concealment. So they are a little bit special. Let's have a look how things have progressed. So we have gotten another emergency fuel smoke, but we've still got 5 of the emergency engine accelerator skills. So if you're not familiar with the Italian destroyer line, what these are doing. This is an extremely short duration engine boost, but it gives you a 20% speed up. So short cooldown, short duration, but a pretty good boost. And the same goes for this exhaust fuel smoke. It only sets a fuel screen for 6 seconds. So this is not a fuel screen, a smoke screen that you sit in and then shoot things. First of all, you don't have the gun range to do this. So anyway, this is a brown alert smoke. This is an oh crap sort of smoke. It's like you suddenly find yourself broadside on to an Italian battleship or a heavy cruiser, and you're like, oh crap, I need to get the heck out of here. So run away, fuel smoke, and hard turn to port or starboard. That's what these are for. So short duration, super short duration. Don't be tempted to sit still in these. All you do is sitting still out in open water. And but they have also a relatively short cooldown, so you can use them again quite frequently. And you tend to get a lot of charges on these things. So like we see here, 5 on the boost and 4 on the smoke. So you can use them. You can use them generously. You don't have to be thrifty with those. Okay. Other than that, we have a little bit more hit points. She's a tick slower actually, which is disconcerting. The maneuverability is worse, and the guns are slightly better. So they have a little bit more range, although that has to be taken with a grain of salt because the range is still absolutely abysmal. And they are still, as typical also for the Italian destroyer line, not firing armor piercing, so semi-armor piercing it is, which against enemy destroyers is good. And for the fact that these are only 120mm guns, that actually works out quite nicely. They can do about as much damage as you would do with armor piercing on larger calibers or on German guns. The torpedoes, instead of having 2 triples, we get 2 quadruple launchers, which do a little bit more damage, have a bit more range. With over 10 kilometers, that is actually relatively long range, which is where my comment earlier on comes from. And reload reasonably fast with 48 seconds. The AA is still meaningless, and the concealment is worse with 6.6 kilometers. Now let's compare the Cuniberti to the Le Fantasque, because the French scout cruisers, let's be honest, these are scout cruisers, have sort of the closest we have that we can compare in terms of how these things might be set up. Obviously, the French have the regular engine boost, which, as you can see, even though it's an engine accelerator 3, only gives 16% compared to the 20% you get from the emergency, but it lasts longer. And you can also boost it with the ship skill, with the captain skill. They are relatively comparable in terms of maneuverability. The Fantasque is a faster ship. And obviously, the Fantasque is a scout cruiser. She's got 139mm main guns with an excellent range and excellent high explosive shells. So this is a ship that you can use from range to, burn on battleships. Not necessarily something you would play at extremely close range, but if she does against enemy destroyers, she's also got punchy armor piercing shells. And the Fantasque has slightly weirdly laid out torpedoes, not quite the same range, but does more damage than the Italian. And the torpedoes also a bit faster. And the Le Fantasque actually has a better surface detection than the Vittorio Cuniberti. So, what does that leave us with? Well, it's not a gunboat, because at the ranges that your guns become effective, you are somewhat at threat of being deleted by things that have guns, and it's not technically a torpedo boat either, although she can stealth toward from extreme ranges. The torpedoes don't do an awful lot of damage. They're not the fastest out there, and just purely relying on your torpedoes is sort of a waste as well. So I play these a bit more like YOLO boats. You run around in the open because and you do play within gun range of things, but you just use your speed and the engine boost and the smoke screens to cover yourself. So it's one of those ships that should never sail in a straight line ever, but sort of has to play out in the open to be somewhat effective. All right, how can we set this thing up? You get the choice between torpedo tube reload and main battery reload. I prefer not to ignore the main guns, because the torpedoes themselves, while they're nice, you just don't have the stealth to get close enough to get reliable hits in my opinion. So, but you can, if you want, also get a slightly faster torpedo reload. I prefer to go with the guns here. The equipment, I am using the main battery mod 2 for faster gun reload, because even though the range isn't great, you do have the ship skills to sort of compensate for playing at this kind of ranges, and getting my value out of the guns is a good thing, and there's also not really a good alternative that you could use. The propulsion mod, obviously, and I am still playing with concealment instead of propulsion mod 2, because she doesn't have the base speed to justify that. She doesn't have an elite bonus that would give her more speed. This is actually something that I would love to see. If instead of the torpedo operator, she would have the acceleration and top speed elite bonus. That's something I would actually be keen on. But anyway, what are you going to pick for commander skills? I've got the usual destroyer skills sort of here. I am actually using the Mistweaver, not for the duration, because it's a 6-second smoke. For the 33% skill cooldown, because if you play the ship aggressively, and you kind of have to make her work, you play the ship aggressively, you need to use your smokes frequently, just to cover your turns and things like that. So that's sort of where I'm seeing the cooldown coming in. Now there is a unique camouflage that I think was sold in a bundle when the line came out or something like that. This doesn't actually look too terrible. I would almost sail with that. This gives main battery firing range, but it's not going to make a huge difference, but still good to have. Torpedo speed, which is great. Max traverse and surface detection. The historical does the exact same, except for instead of torpedo speed, you get torpedo range, which is also okay to take, and looks even better. So if you're so inclined, that would be the historical camouflage. But let's go and have a bit of gameplay and see how this sort of style where I'm seeing this ship is going to work out. The first battle is a tier 9 game, but I think there's only one tier 9 on each team, so for all intents and purposes it's a tier 8 battle. There are no enemy destroyers in here, but there is a Brindisi that I could do without, and obviously there are carriers in each game as well, so that's what it is. We are up against August von Parseval, Roma, Amagi, Brandenburg, another Amagi, a Brindisi, and a Takao. So for a destroyer, for any other destroyer, in this sort of setup, you'd say, this is not ideal because of the carrier, but it's relatively good because you'd probably be able to outspot pretty much everybody else. And you can still do that in the Vittorio Cuniberti. But like I said, relatively poor base detection. So even with the concealment build, she's not the sneakiest destroyer out there. Regardless, it is a fast ship, so we will immediately use the first engine boost just for acceleration purposes. And with the preheating and everything, we get up to 48 knots, which isn't bad, which means we should be able to rush the cup. Why am I using my engine boost so early? Because I want to get around the island. So you have to, with this cap here, you have two choices. You can either stay behind that little ledge there, or you can try to get around. If you want to get around, you got to be fast about it, and you better have a smoke screen or something, because the enemy team, you have no way to dodge. Why am I looking so weird, by the way? This is something I haven't, I'm looking kind of to the side all the time. Something I haven't mentioned. The rear torpedo launcher here is affected by the turret bug, and yes, that's the Brindisi. And the Brindisi smokes because he knows that he's been spotted, and he doesn't know that now he sees me, so I'm immediately smoking up to avoid taking fire from the Brindisi. There you see it. The rear torpedo launcher isn't in position. There it comes around. Now it's in position. There now. So the Brindisi easily shaves half of my hit points off, but is going to be taking my torpedoes, hopefully, which isn't going to sink the Brindisi, but it's going to do some damage to it. The rear torpedo launcher is affected by the turret rotation bug, unfortunately, which makes this ship even more irritating to play. So we've done what we could. Our battleship support is running away, so there's not an awful lot we can do around here, short of just slowing the enemy team down. Roma is disengaging, and what can we torpedo next? Maybe the Amagi, unless the Bismarck just outright deletes him. I can't drop because the Bismarck's in the way. And the Bismarck is being shot at by everybody. But now he's passed, so I can drop the torpedoes on the Amagi. And there comes the carrier, unfortunately. I do need to kind of get out of here. Although it's a German carrier, and I think the Amagi has actually slowed down, so he's not, or run into the island, so he's not actually taking my torpedoes. Which is unfortunate. I would have not minded that kill. The torpedo launcher bug is really, really annoying because the rear, if you're pointing the camera forwards, the rear torpedo launcher is swinging around to the other direction if it's out of angle. Okay, Roma next. Bismarck has died, and this is about as close as we can get to a Roma without being detected. I do though have, now I am detected. Yes, I do though have the smoke that I can use. So let's use the smoke to cover our turn. And unfortunately, there come the Brindisi torps. I did not expect these to be here. What? That worked out better than it should have. And turn away because we don't have the Alpha Strike to delete the Roma, I believe. Yeah, that's 8 torpedoes in, but the Roma survives. Damage controls the flood, and now we need to get the heck out of here. Roma fires AP. Roma existed before the line, so Roma is not necessarily. I can't turn here because the Brindisi is going to kill me, and the carrier keeps me spotted. So I am going to have to go straight here, and I did run into something, but. I now have to dodge the carrier torpedoes. Yes. Okay. Izumo gracefully takes it. Roma is one of those Italian battleships that doesn't have semi-armor piercing because she existed before semi-armor piercing even was a thing in game. So now that we disentangle ourselves from the Izumo, let's get the heck out of here. The team's already killed 4 ships on the enemy team, so I think we've got this one pretty much in the bag. We're only holding 1 cap though. And if I could stop being carrier spotted, that'd be great. Yep, there comes the Brindisi again. But that's what you need your speed for. And just observing him. No, he's not coming around. So yeah, let's smoke up quickly just to cover our passage through that next to that gap there, so the Brindisi doesn't get to delete us. Now he sees me, but I'm not sure he can actually shoot me. I'm going to drop some torpedoes. Yes, he does, but he's underestimated my speed. Okay. What was I saying? Yes. The Roma is one of those Italian battleships that's not actually that dangerous to destroyers unless she fires high explosive. But and with a rapid reload, you still can't underestimate. But it's not the large caliber semi-armor piercing insta delete button thing. How can we make ourselves useful? I'm going to grab another capture circle, just because. And there's still a battleship out there that we haven't spotted, because I think the rest of my team is going to home in on the carrier before I get into torpedo range. So that's probably not happening. The Brindisi has died, and there's just one more capture circle to get. Yeah, the torpedo launcher bug really is annoying, and oftentimes means that you just can't use your torpedoes effectively. This is not the only ship that is affected by this, obviously. Paolo Emilio is notorious for that. But let's see if we can find ourselves. There's one battleship remaining. I have no idea where it is. It couldn't be south, right? Because then it would be spotted by the rest of my team. It's got to be somewhere around here. It's probably up north somewhere. The carrier is being hunted by everybody, so. That carrier is probably dead. Oh, there it is. Okay, found you. Let's see what he's doing. I don't want to drop my torpedoes at extreme range. What is that even? I can't remember what we were fighting against. Amagis? Something like that? No, it's not an Amagi. Oh, it's Brandenburg. Okay. So he is in a full turn. So maybe drop 1 torpedo launcher. And the problem is now that because I'm looking the other direction, my rear launcher, there it comes, is out of alignment again. And Brandenburg is frantically maneuvering, so these torpedoes are not going to hit. So I'm just gonna get myself a little closer and see if I can drop the second spread close by. The problem is obviously, as you can see, that I'm not pointing the torpedo launcher within its torpedo angle. So there you go. There's the torpedo bug again. Come on, come around. It's still not there. It is finally. So I have to drop actually behind the Brandenburg because my torpedo launcher was bugged, and he only takes 2 torpedoes instead of 4, and I am stripped of the potential kill on that thing. And for some reason he gets into a brawl with our Shokaku, but I think that thing's dead before anything happens. Yeah, that bug is really irritating, especially for this line, because you will pretty much at most times have one of the torpedo launchers out of alignment. You can kind of work around this a little bit if you're using the free look camera instead of if you need to look outside and just kind of prep your launchers to be on the right position, but it's still irritating. So this was relatively average, but let's try that again. Because in the second game, we have a bunch of destroyers on the enemy team. We're up against Bismarck, a Caracciolo, a Charles Martel, double Charles Martel, an Asashio, Ognivoy, and a Lightning. Not too happy about the double Charles Martel there, but at least it's not light cruiser. Yeah, so the problem with these Italian destroyers is that they're not quite as fast as the French. They don't have the gun range of the French. The torpedo range is kind of nice, but also not as useful as it looks. The concealment is bad, and they completely rely on the ship skills to support their intended playstyle. Anyway, 3 destroyers, so semi-armor piercing in. I've got Shapayev and Akatsuki with me, so let's engine boost up to C cup and see that we can catch that. There's no need to kind of extremely aggressively rush it, because we've got a very big island there that is shielding us from the enemy team, so we're not in danger of having to vacate our position extremely quickly. Now let's get into the capture circle, and we are capping, so there's nobody else in here. Once Aka joins, then there might be 1 destroyer in here. Okay, we've capped, Aka is in, so there's potentially 1 destroyer at most in here. There could be 2 at this point. Let's drop some torpedoes while we're undetected, because there's a Charles Martel and I don't want to be seen if I can avoid it. And there's also the Caracciolo, who's got the semi-armor piercing probably loaded, and that's also not something that I necessarily want to mess with. But at the same time, I do want to use my guns, so I'm going to point a rearwards, load the high explosive, and start unloading at the Caracciolo a little bit. See if we can make anything happen. He is taking 4 torpedoes. Yeah, 4 torpedoes and a flood. He doesn't seem to be damage controlling the flood, which is an interesting choice. Maybe he's afraid. I don't know what he's afraid of, but has he noticed me at this point? Okay, he is smoking up while continuing to flood. There is the Charles Martel. Is he looking my way? He kind of might be looking my way. I've got a fuel smoke ready now that I'm spotted. Engine boost up, and we're gonna cover the turn with the fuel smoke. There we go. And then we will try to drop. And again, the rear launcher obviously is bugged, so it's not getting into position, which means we launch way too late, which means the second spread, which could have been doing a lot of damage if we... the Charles Martel is engine boosting out already, so I would have liked to send the second spread a little bit further forward. So the Charles Martel evaded the torpedoes because of my bugged launcher, which is infuriating. Okay, we appear to be alone here. The Akatsuki has buggered off, and the rest of my team is kind of bimbling about around A cup. There's an Asashio, so back to the semi-armor piercing and see if we can do something about that thing, but we do have to be mindful of the Charles Martel in our rear. And we are spotted, so now we're no longer spotted, but obviously we can't cap because the Asashio is inside the capture circle. Where is he going? Caracciolo is accelerating, so these torpedoes would miss if I did that. I'm going to drop 1 here in case the Asashio comes out. Doesn't look like he is though. No, he's not stupid. He knows that he's spotted and he's not coming. Is he coming out? We'll find out in a second. If he comes out, I've got a second torpedo launcher ready for him, plus the semi-armor piercing. Okay, second drop against the Caracciolo, and my sub should be sufficient to deal with the Asashio if he decides to come out or not. And he picks that exact moment to come out. These weren't even meant for you, but I'll take it. Surprise! There is still a Charles Martel behind me somewhere there. So Asashio suddenly run into all the torpedoes. And he counter-dropped. I'm not sure if he dropped me or the battleship, but for now I'm out of gun range again, because, I mean, the Asashio is deep water, so I don't have to be afraid of those anyway. I am out of gun range again. Let's try if we can finish off the Asashio. That would be great. It's got a couple more. Maybe that last salvo can... Oh, the Charles Martel is back. Yep. Ouch. That hurt. Okay, it's fuel smoke up. Unfortunately, I forgot an important thing, that the being on fire actually makes you visible in smoke. So I don't know where the Charles Martel is going. I'm dropping some torpedoes on him. And now I need to get the heck out of here and not be killed by the Charles Martel. Okay, not firing my guns. I've still got one. I think one to... No, I sent both out. Okay, I don't have one left. I'm not sure if I was going to hit anything. We're 2 kills down to 1. The Asashio is the only thing, and the Charles Martel's taken on the Bismarck. The Asashio is so far the only thing that we've killed. There's an Ognivoi, and I'm on very low hit points. So, fuel smoke. Unfortunately, there's also the lightning. So against that group, I am not in a great position. And as you can see, even the semi-armor piercing, and yeah, the Ognivoi actually has a smoke. The semi-armor piercing can occasionally bounce off semi-pen's sturdier destroyers. We are running a little low on hit points here at this point. Let's see if we can get the lightning killed. Unfortunately, I don't have the gun range to do it, and the Ognivoi has way too many hit points to make that happen. So I am going to have to use the other fuel smoke, even though I'm actually in reverse, and hope to survive that encounter. Let's see if I can get a second kill for the team before the match eventually inevitably ends, because there's absolutely no way that we're winning this one. There is that's the Charles Martel. I'm on 3 hit points. Okay, engine boost, torpedo. Come on, rear launcher. Stop being bugged. There we go. Torpedoes against the Bismarck just to farm some damage. Some more shots out at the lightning, but the Charles Martel takes me out because at some point there's too much fire coming in. Yeah, that Asashio was literally the only kill that my team managed in this game. We might still be able to get some damage in on the Bismarck. No, the Akatsuki has killed the Caracciolo. Well done, Akatsuki. Destroyers for the win. And we do get some good torpedo hits in on the Bismarck. A 7 out of 8 is not bad at that angle. But yeah, there's no way we're going to win this. The Charles Martel is going to absolutely murder the Akatsuki. So, well played, Aka. I think we both got a kill and we both tried very hard, but our team was definitely not carryable. so that is that. But yeah, so the Cuniberti, is this a good ship? I would say it would be a very mediocre destroyer, even without the traverse bug. The gun range is painfully short. She is working okay against other destroyers, but she can't quite play scout cruiser because of the gun range. She's very vulnerable to larger caliber fire due to the size of this thing. Obviously, the idea is that this distinctly average ship can be compensated for by using the ship skills effectively. And I can see that happening. But you don't have the torpedo power to, do catastrophic damage to enemy battleships. And I would say if they fix the torpedo turret bug, then maybe it's an okay destroyer. I would still not say it's a brilliant destroyer, but then again, in my opinion, neither are the French scout cruisers. So it would fit in reasonably well for a tier 8 destroyer if they were to fix the torpedo rotation bug. There's no real clear playstyle. I still maintain that you should be just staying aggressive within your gun range and using your guns, because what else you've got them for? And the semi-armor piercing works reasonably well against destroyers. So yeah, may as well. Anyway, I will be at some point investigating the higher tiers and see if it's actually worth grinding across. But that's it for me today. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.